You want me to kiss you? Come here, I'll kiss you cross-eyed. Baby, you're the greatest.
Isn't that from The Honeymooners?
The year 2000 was a strange turning point for television. Traditional laugh-track sitcoms were starting to feel outdated, audiences were craving something new, and reality TV was slowly beginning to take over prime time. Networks were desperate to find the next massive hit, something that could define the new millennium.
They're gonna hate Darling, they're gonna love you. Look at me. My pants are too tight. My heels are too high. My ears are clogged. I can't hear you. Your lips are moving. What?
But while some shows went on to become classics, many others barely survived long enough to be remembered. Some had massive stars attached. Others had ambitious ideas or big marketing pushes. Yet despite all that, they collapsed almost immediately. Whether it was poor timing, behind-the-scenes chaos, confused writing, or simply audiences not connecting, these sitcoms didn't stand a chance. Today, we're rewinding the clock back to the year 2000 to revisit sitcoms that launched with hope and disappeared just as fast. And we're starting with a show that proves one brutal truth about television. Even the biggest star power can't save a sitcom that doesn't work. Bette, CBS 2000.
But our love is here to stay.
This wasn't just a flop. It was a textbook example of how fame alone can't carry a TV series. In 2000, CBS put enormous faith in a glossy new sitcom built around legendary entertainer Bette Midler. The concept was simple. Midler would play an exaggerated version of herself, a larger-than-life diva living in Los Angeles, juggling fame, family, and dramatic emotional outbursts that often turned into spontaneous musical moments.
Danny!
Hey, babe, great show.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, you were the best. It was so great.
I'm embarrassed.
On paper, it looked like a guaranteed hit. This was Midler's first real attempt at a weekly television series, and CBS expected big numbers. And at first, those expectations seemed justified. The pilot episode pulled in over 14 million viewers, landing the show in a prime Tuesday night slot with massive hype behind it. But once the excitement faded, cracks started to show fast.
Show or what?
Oh, I don't know. I love him, but I just don't know if I should do TV.
You did Seinfeld.
Oh, but that was Seinfeld.
One of the biggest problems was creative control. Bette Midler was deeply involved in every aspect of the show, from joke structure to scene pacing to lighting choices. Writers reportedly came and went at a rapid pace. Scripts were rewritten late into the night, and production became increasingly chaotic. Then came the casting confusion. In the pilot episode, Midler's teenage daughter was played by Lindsay Lohan. But after that first episode, she vanished, replaced without explanation. Viewers noticed immediately, and critics weren't impressed. Behind the scenes, things only got worse. Midler openly expressed how much she disliked the grind of weekly television production. In interviews, she complained that the workload was exhausting and creatively draining. At one point, she even admitted she hated nearly every moment of making the show. Not exactly the enthusiasm a sitcom needs to survive.
You have a mistress?
No.
It's Sally Field, isn't it?
No.
Get me out of this thing! I've been looking for an excuse to kill her for 20 years! I'm coming for you, Gidget!
Even ignoring the drama, there was a bigger issue. The show couldn't decide what it wanted to be. One episode leaned toward over-the-top campy comedy, while the next tried to be heartfelt family television. That constant tonal shift confused audiences, and ratings began to slide.
What do you think?
I'm a goddess!
CBS eventually pulled the plug after 18 episodes, with 2 episodes never airing in the United States. What was supposed to be a star-powered success turned into one of the network's most disappointing failures of the season. After Bette, Midler quietly returned to movies and live performances. and never attempted another sitcom again. And honestly, that might have been the smartest ending this story could have had. The Geena Davis Show, ABC 2000.
Hey,
Yeah,
I woke up. You weren't there. I missed you.
I missed you too. I'm sorry.
Coming off massive film success, Geena Davis seemed like a perfect candidate for television. She had charm, credibility, and a long list of hit movies behind her. So when ABC announced the Geena Davis Show, expectations were understandably high. The premise followed a glamorous, career-driven Manhattan woman who leaves her fast-paced city life to move into the suburbs with her boyfriend and his children. It was pitched as a blend of modern romantic comedy and family sitcom. Something like Sex and the City meeting traditional suburban humor.
Judy, you're being ridiculous.
What's that you're saying? I'm shocked and surprised. Why, I've never heard of such a thing. See, this girl can act.
ABC promoted the show aggressively and scheduled it right after Dharma and Greg, one of their strongest comedy hits at the time. The pilot delivered decent ratings, suggesting the concept might actually work. But almost immediately, things began to unravel. Week after week, viewership steadily declined. Critics struggled to define what the show was trying to be. Some felt it wasn't sharp enough to work as satire, while others said it wasn't warm enough to succeed as a family comedy. The tone felt confused, never fully committing to any one identity.
You know, the only side I love more than you half-dressed is you undressed. But I have a teenage boy in there.
So?
So I was hoping he wouldn't see your butt until after school.
Behind the scenes, the series suffered from a familiar early 2000s problem. Too many creative voices and no clear direction. Writers rotated frequently, scripts changed constantly, and the show never developed a strong personality of its own. To her credit, Geena Davis gave a genuinely likable performance. There were moments where the show hinted at potential, but the material simply wasn't strong enough to support it. It felt like ABC was trying to copy the success of quirky single-woman sitcoms without fully understanding what made those shows connect with audiences. The series lasted one season with 22 episodes, though one episode never aired. After its cancellation, Davis stepped away from television for a while before eventually returning in a more successful and dramatically different role years later. The Michael Richards Show, ABC 2000.
I don't know what I'm doing this for, man. Joey.
Following one of the most iconic sitcom runs in television history, success should have been inevitable, right? After Seinfeld ended, ABC was eager to capitalize on the popularity of Michael Richards, whose portrayal of Kramer had made him a comedy legend. In 2000, the network launched The Michael Richards Show, hoping lightning would strike twice. But from the very beginning, the setup felt off.
Hey, she won't talk about it, but that's not suspicious. I mean, that's just the way she is.
You're a lucky man.
Richards wasn't playing Kramer. Instead, he portrayed Vic Nardosa, a clumsy private investigator. The problem? Vic wasn't Kramer, but he also wasn't not Kramer. The character shared the same physical comedy, wild behavior, and strange logic that audiences instantly associated with Seinfeld. Originally, the network promised a more grounded role, but as production continued, the show drifted closer and closer to familiar territory. Eventually, it became clear. This was basically Kramer wearing a trench coat. Without the razor-sharp writing of Seinfeld, the magic disappeared. Critics were unforgiving. One review summed it up perfectly, calling the series a show desperately searching for its identity while viewers lose interest. Behind the scenes, panic set in. The pilot was reshot, writers were shuffled, episodes were reworked again and again in an attempt to find the right tone. Nothing stuck. Audiences were equally divided. Some wanted more Kramer, others wanted something completely new. Instead, they got an awkward middle ground that satisfied no one. Ratings dropped quickly. After 8 episodes with one never airing, ABC canceled the series. What was meant to be Michael Richards' triumphant return turned into one of the sitcom flameouts of the year. For Richards, it marked the beginning of a long absence from television. And for Hollywood, it became a warning. Escaping an iconic character is harder than it looks. The Trouble with Normal, ABC 2000.
We're not supposed to be paranoid anymore.
Look, Bob, you're not paranoid, and I'm not. I'm not.
Every TV era has at least one show that tries just a little too hard to be different. In 2000, that show was The Trouble with Normal. The concept centered around four men in group therapy, all suffering from extreme paranoia. They believed they were being watched, tracked, and manipulated by unseen forces. Government conspiracies, technology fears, and social anxiety fueled their daily lives. It was designed as a satire of modern fear, post-Y2K and pre-social media. The cast was solid. David Krumholtz, John Cryer, Brad Rader, and Larry Joe Campbell, with Paget Brewster playing their exhausted therapist. But the show's biggest problem started long before it aired. Originally, the series had a different title, People Who Fear People, and an almost entirely different cast. ABC hated the original pilot, so just weeks before the premiere, the network recast major roles, retooled the tone, renamed the show, and rushed it to air. The result was a sitcom with no clear identity and almost no promotion. Ironically, the show itself wasn't terrible. Some episodes hinted at a smart, offbeat comedy style, something resembling early Arrested Development or Community. But those moments were buried under inconsistent writing and an awkward presentation. Critics were split. Some praised the cast's chemistry, while others felt the show was trying too hard to be edgy without delivering enough laughs. Scheduling didn't help either. The series aired on Friday nights, traditionally one of television's weakest time slots. After just 5 episodes, ABC canceled the show. Although 9 more episodes were filmed, none of them aired in the U.S. Over time, The Trouble with Normal developed a small cult following, mostly made up of viewers surprised to discover familiar faces in such a strange, forgotten project. Dog NBC.
We'll treasure it always. It's really, really nice.
What's your status?
Change of plans. He wants to come out the front.
The front? The front hasn't been secured.
On paper, this should have worked. In the fall of 2000, NBC believed it had a winning formula. David Alan Grier, fresh off the success of In Living Color, was set to headline a new primetime sitcom. And not just any sitcom, but one set inside the White House. The show was titled Dag, named after Grier's character Jerome Dag Daggett, a Secret Service agent who gets demoted after a major mistake and reassigned to guard the First Lady. The setup promised plenty of comedic potential, a serious, high-pressure job reduced to dealing with political egos, social events, and constant humiliation. Fish-out-of-water comedy, workplace humor, political satire. Everything seemed to be there. Unfortunately, the execution didn't match the idea. From the very beginning, Dag struggled with its identity. It couldn't decide whether it wanted to be a sharp political comedy, a broad farce, or a traditional family sitcom. Instead of choosing a lane, it bounced awkwardly between all three. David Alan Grier did everything he could. His performance was energetic, charming, and professional. But even strong comedic timing can't fix weak material. The First Lady character, played by Delta Burke, was written as an exaggerated, almost cartoonish Southern socialite. Scenes often felt loud, over the top, and strangely disconnected from reality. Rather than clever satire, the humor leaned into forced exaggeration. Behind the scenes, NBC's confidence faded quickly. Although the show was part of the network's heavily promoted fall lineup, executives began shifting its time slot after just a few episodes, a classic sign of uncertainty. Viewers never had a chance to build a routine. Audiences didn't connect. Adults found it too silly. Younger viewers found it boring. And anyone expecting something with the intelligence of the West Wing walked away disappointed. After 17 episodes, NBC canceled Dag. Despite the talent involved, the show disappeared almost immediately and is rarely mentioned today, even among fans of Grier or Burke. It's one of those sitcoms that feels like it might have worked with a complete retool. Sharper writing, stronger satire, and clearer character dynamics. But as it aired, it simply couldn't find its footing. Normal, Ohio, Fox, 2000.
And maybe you should have gotten a taxi to pick you up at the airport.
A taxi would have stopped when the lights turned red. It would have smelled better.
Yeah, well, you're just mad because we ran out of gas.
By the year 2000, Fox was eager to prove it could do more than edgy animation and raunchy comedy. So it took a major creative risk with a very different kind of sitcom, one starring John Goodman in a role audiences had never seen before. In Normal, Ohio, Goodman played William Butch Gamble, a blue-collar Midwestern man who loved sports, beer, and small-town life, and who also happened to be gay. After spending years in Los Angeles, Butch returns to his hometown to reconnect with his family and adapt to life in a conservative environment. Fox promoted the show as bold and groundbreaking. Goodman, coming off years of success on Roseanne, was one of the most trusted sitcom actors of the 1990s. The network hoped his presence would help audiences embrace a progressive concept without alienating viewers. But problems emerged almost immediately. Early test screenings revealed that some audiences didn't find Goodman's character believable as written. In response, Fox made a controversial decision. They reshot the pilot to exaggerate stereotypical traits. Suddenly, Butch referenced pop icons, leaned into flamboyant humor, and openly labeled himself with gay cliches that weren't present in the original version. This sudden shift created an identity crisis. Was the show trying to normalize a gay lead in a traditional sitcom setting? Or was it leaning into stereotypes for cheap laughs? Even the writers seemed unsure. Critics were sharply divided. Some praised Goodman's performance and appreciated the attempt to present a gay character without mockery. Others criticized the show for sending mixed messages and relying on outdated sitcom tropes. The biggest issue, though, was simple. The show wasn't consistently funny. The jokes felt flat, the tone uneven, and audiences struggled to understand what kind of show they were watching. Fox canceled Normal, Ohio after just 7 episodes. Goodman later stated that he didn't regret taking the role, but admitted the series never fully came together. Despite its failure, Normal, Ohio deserves some recognition for trying something different at a time when network television was still extremely cautious. It didn't succeed, but it did attempt to push boundaries. Why the year 2000 was so brutal for sitcoms. By the time the calendar flipped to the year 2000, television had quietly become ruthless. Networks were no longer patient. If a show didn't deliver results almost immediately, it was gone. Unlike earlier decades, sitcoms were no longer given time to grow. There was no room for slow-burn success stories. Ratings had to be strong from day one. Otherwise, executives moved on to the next experiment. At the same time, audiences were changing fast. Reality TV was rising. Viewers were drifting away from traditional laugh track formats. Cable channels were taking risks that broadcast networks weren't ready to match. And the internet was beginning to reshape how people consumed entertainment, even if TV didn't fully understand that shift yet. As a result, sitcoms launched into a perfect storm. High expectations, short patience, confused creative direction, and constant network interference. For many of these shows, failure wasn't about lack of talent. It was about timing, pressure, and an industry that demanded instant success. When you look back at these 7 sitcoms, a pattern becomes clear. Some relied too heavily on star power. Others experimented with ideas audiences weren't ready for. Some were retooled so many times they lost their identity. And some were simply canceled before they ever had a real chance. In nearly every case, the shows were caught between what the network wanted and what the audience expected. Instead of committing to bold ideas, networks panicked. Instead of trusting creative voices, they overcorrected. And instead of letting stories breathe, they rushed to judgment. The result? A long list of forgotten sitcoms that disappeared almost as quickly as they arrived. Here's the big question. If these sitcoms launched today, in the era of streaming, niche audiences, and flexible formats, would things have been different? Probably. Streaming platforms allow shows to find smaller but loyal audiences. Creative risks are encouraged. And cancellation isn't always based on overnight ratings. Some of these sitcoms might have found cult followings, been retooled instead of canceled, or quietly grown into something special. But in the year 2000, there was no safety net. Primetime television had one rule: perform immediately or disappear. So here's to the forgotten sitcoms of the year 2000. The strange ideas, the ambitious failures, the shows that tried something different and paid the price. TV history isn't just written by legendary hits and long-running classics. It's also shaped by the flops, the misfires, and the shows that never got a second chance. And sometimes those failures are just as fascinating as the successes. Because without them, television wouldn't have learned how to evolve. If you remember any of these shows, or if one of them deserved a second chance, let us know in the comments. And if you enjoy diving into forgotten corners of TV history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for more. Thank you so much for watching.